I can get going now? Yes? Okay.
Yep.
So, okay, perfect. So my name is Melissa. I am here to talk to you today about some, I guess, some tips on thinking, right? Sometimes we can get kind of lost in the way that we think, and yeah, and sometimes it can be a struggle. So we're going to talk about the power of thinking today. Before we get started though, one thing was to maybe if folks could have paper and a pen or a pencil handy, just because we're going to be doing a drawing activity in a throughout like for a piece of the presentation. So if people could get a pen and a piece of paper, that would be great. So when we think about kind of our thoughts, these are connected to our feelings and it affects our behavior. So what we think about affects how we feel, and how we feel affects how we behave or what we do with the feelings that we have. And so this is really important to be able to recognize this connection um, with the things that we think about, because definitely there are a lot of thoughts that pass through our minds throughout the day. And sometimes it's going maybe at a pace that we don't even recognize, or even, you know, kind of what we think about is sometimes just automatic that we don't even realize how much it's affecting us. So being able to recognize this kind of triangle idea here, what we think about affects how we feel affects how we behave. So we're going to watch a video, upstairs, downstairs brain, and this is just going to explain a little bit about how our brain works and how, I guess, our brain develops as we grow. And yeah, there's different pieces of our brain, and it just is a kind of a nice way to explain, I guess, how our brain works in a little bit more of a simple way. Hopefully everybody can hear.
Your brain is powerful and strong. It helps you remember that 2 plus 2 equals 4, makes you blink and breathe without even thinking, and even helps you play your favorite video games. But it's so much more than that, too. Your brain has 3 main parts: the cerebrum, the cerebellum, and the brainstem. It also has 2 sides, a left and a right, 4 lobes, the frontal, parietal, temporal, and occipital. And then each of these lobes can be broken down even more into areas that have specific jobs. Yowza, that's a lot of pieces. Let's see if we can make it a bit easier to understand. You can think of your brain kind of like a 2-story house. In this house, there's an upstairs and a downstairs. The upstairs and downstairs brains both have very important jobs. Your downstairs brain's job is to keep you safe. It is responsible for things like breathing, super strong emotions like anger and fear, and watching out for danger. The upstairs brain's job is to help you think. Yep, that's right. Its job is to help you problem solve, learn, and make good decisions. A house wouldn't be a home without people inside, right? Your brain has some characters in it that play a really important role in what you're thinking, feeling, and doing. Let's talk about the characters in the downstairs brain first. Down here, you have alerting Annie. She lets us know if there's danger nearby. Angry Albert, he responds really quickly with, you guessed it, anger. And frightened Fred, he's pretty much scared of everything, but it's because he wants to keep us safe. Then there's the boss. This is Big Boss Bob. His job is to take information from Albert, Annie, and Fred and react. There is no thinking involved. He just listens to them, and if they say danger is nearby, he acts super fast. Bob does this in 3 different ways: fight, flight, or freeze. Your upstairs brain has some characters in it too. Up here, you have problem-solving Patty. She helps recognize problems and come up with solutions. Calming Carl, his job is to help us calm down when we're upset. Flexible Felix, He allows us to go with the flow. And focusing Frank, he allows us to pay attention and learn. All of these characters don't act super fast. It takes time for them to stop and think before doing anything. Any house with an upstairs and downstairs has a staircase that connects them, right? So does your brain house. We need both the upstairs and downstairs brains to work together. When the brain's staircase is built and strong, our characters can move up and down the staircase to share information. This allows the upstairs brain to try and make sense of strong emotions from Albert, Annie, and Fred, and try to figure out how to help. But it's not always that easy. You see, even though your downstairs brain is done being built when you're born, your upstairs brain is under construction until you are in your mid-20s, which means your staircase can be kind of fragile as a kid. And Bob is kind of bossy, so when he thinks that danger is around, he may flip a switch to break your staircase in order to keep you safe, even when there's no actual danger around. Let's look at it this way. Let's pretend that you are out at recess. The sun is shining, it's nice and warm out, and you're playing with your friends. All of a sudden, a cute little kitten wanders on the playground. Annie, Fred, and Albert are going to say, "Aw, look at that cute kitten." Bob will send a message upstairs to say, "Everyone, look, it's a cute little kitten." Bob doesn't sense any danger, so problem-solving Patty is able to stop and think about what to do next. Patty decides that you should probably go and tell the teacher that the kitten is on the playground. Maybe it's lost and your teacher can help get it home. Awesome! The upstairs and downstairs brain worked together to solve the problem. Now, let's take the same day at recess, but add something different. Instead of a kitten that shows up, a giant T-Rex stomps onto the scene. Annie immediately goes over to Bob and says, Bob, we have a problem." Fred does the same thing, saying, "There's a dinosaur on the playground." Bob has no time to go upstairs so Patty can figure out what to do. Instead, he flips the switch to break the staircase and responds super fast by having you run away, flight, and hide, freeze, inside of the school. So clearly, Bob is really good at acting fast to keep us safe. Unfortunately, your brain, and Bob in particular, cannot tell the difference between a hard question on a math test and a dinosaur on the playground, especially when Bob flips his switch to break the staircase. But guess what? You can make your staircase stronger by practicing calming strategies like deep breathing and learning how to relax your muscles. The more you practice these when you feel good, the more likely Bob is to respond to them when your feelings get too big. Trusted adults can also act as carpenters for your broken staircase, rebuilding each step to help Bob reach Patty and solve the problem together. Teachers and parents.
Okay. All right. So there we have the upstairs, downstairs brain. So it's a nice little video that kind of just breaks things down to a very simple way of looking at things. You know, my upstairs, downstairs brain. Some people might refer to it as my thinking brain and my emotional brain. Oh, now I'm going to. Okay, so what was it going to do it again? Okay, so here we have something that's called an optical illusion. So I'm not sure if people are familiar with an optical illusion, but it kind of plays tricks on the way you see things. So this picture is it a young woman or is it an old woman? Right? So if you take kind of a couple moments to look at it, it's like, which is it? Is it a young woman or an old woman? Sometimes people have the ability to see both of them. Sometimes people will say, oh, I can see both. I can see the young woman and I can see the old one. So yeah, it's kind of a neat way to look at things. Okay. Oh, Someone says they see a young woman. Yes. Yeah, and some people, like I said, can see both. So if we look, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. Okay, yep. Now someone can see the young woman first, but now they can see both. And that's exactly right. It depends on what way you're looking at it. Sometimes people can't see the young woman or the old woman until it's pointed out to them, right? So it's kind of a neat way to look at things because we all can look at things differently, right? And so it's really important. So this is where we, oh, let's see. Oh, this thing wants to give me a hard time now. Okay, there we go. It was stuck for a moment. Sorry about that. Technology. So this is the exercise where you need a pen and paper. And the idea here is that we're going to draw this monster. So this monster has a round body. It's got 2 eyes, hairy eyebrows, a big mouth. You can see my teeth and my tongue, 2 horns, 2 legs with feet and 2 long arms. So if everybody just wants to take like 2 minutes to draw this monster, we'll come back and we'll see how everybody did. So 2 minutes, I'll give you guys 2 minutes to draw your version of what you think this monster looks like. We have about a minute to go. Okay, and while everybody's got their monsters drawn and we've all had the same information presented to us, it's always interesting to see. I'm about to reveal the monster that I described, and this is it. And so it's really interesting to look and see what your monster looks like compared to the one that I described. Oftentimes, when we're doing this in a room all together, we can compare our monsters and kind of, see how other people each interpreted the information they got. And this is kind of how perspective is, right? So when we each have a different perspective through the way that we think and the way that we see things or hear things or process things. And it's always, I guess, important to kind of recognize that each of us can have a different perspective of things. So here's the little monster that we were supposed to draw, or how it was supposed to look. And yeah, and so hopefully, you got to see how it can look differently, even though we all have the same information. Next, we're going to talk about some thinking traps. So here we have 9 thinking traps, and we're going to go over each of them so that we can kind of learn a little bit more about them. When you think about the way we think, sometimes it can be a little distorted, And we can look at things sometimes from a way that's not very helpful. And these 9 ways, I guess, of thinking that we can get stuck in, it's good to be able to give it a name. And there's a saying, it's called name it to tame it, right? So you have to name something in order to be able to tame it. The thing about these thinking traps is that we all do them. We all can, engage in catastrophizing or being critical of ourselves sometimes for certain things. It's when we get stuck in it and it really affects how we interact with people, the things that we do in our daily life, whether we're able to participate in things that we would like to participate in. Sometimes the way we think can really impact our ability to do those things, and that's when it becomes a problem. So the first one is black and white thinking. So if anybody knows the story of Snow White, this is the queen from Snow White, and she is a character who really thinks from a perspective of black and white, which is either one way or another way, right? This is all or it's nothing. People are right or wrong, or they're good or they're bad. There's kind of no in between. So when we think like this, it can be, like if we did a math test and, we had done maybe 10 math tests over this, the beginning of the school year. And on 9 of the math tests, we got good marks. And one math test, we didn't get such a great mark. And we say, oh, I suck at math, right? Because I didn't get a good mark on all 10 of the math tests, then I think I'm no good at any of it. So this type of thinking is all it's either this way or it's that way. The next one, emotional reasoning. This is where we think with our emotions and we kind of view things through the lens of our emotions. And when we do this, people describe this to seem like I'm on an emotional roller coaster. I'm happy, then I'm mad, then I'm sad, then I'm happy again. And if you think back to that upstairs, downstairs brain video, they talk about that, how the emotional part of your brain is developed the day you're born, the moment you're born. And the front part of your brain, or the upstairs part, doesn't develop till you're about 24. And that is the part that helps you to control your emotions, or what we call regulate them. And so when a young person feels big waves of emotions, or their emotions feel really strong, that's actually pretty normal for young people, because the brain, that part of the brain that helps you to control your emotions, hasn't quite developed yet. And so that's why sometimes young people struggle with their emotions. Compare and despair. So if anybody is familiar with the story of the Little Mermaid, Ariel is a character who dreams of being in the human world. She wants to have legs. She wants to, be able to walk and to dance. And she feels that life would be so much better if she could do that. And sometimes when we are caught in this thinking trap, compare and despair, we compare ourselves to other people. And sometimes that's people in our family, people at school, people out in public, even social media. We can get stuck comparing ourselves to other people and thinking, wow, they seem like they have such a great life. They have all these friends, they're always doing stuff, and I'm over here and I'm all alone. And now I feel sad about how my life looks, right? So when we compare and despair, we're comparing ourselves to others and then feeling bad about it. A very interesting story that I had come across one time was about this woman who was sitting on the beach, and she was reading a book, just relaxing. And all of a sudden she notices this fancy black vehicle pulls up. And this woman gets out and she's dressed really nicely. And she goes to her car and she gets out this blanket and this picnic, and she's got these flowers, and she sets all this stuff up. And then she goes to her car and she gets her kids, and she puts her kids out on the blanket, and this woman reading the book thinks, wow, this lady looks like she's about to have a really nice picnic and spend time with her kids. So the woman proceeds to take some pictures of herself and her kids with this really nice picnic. And then she takes everything and puts it in the car, packs up her kids, and leaves. She didn't stay and have a picnic. She just wanted pictures to make it look like she was having this great time, having this picnic with her kids. So sometimes, even especially for, things that we see on social media, sometimes it's just that snapshot that's happening, or people make it appear that things are actually better than maybe how they really are. Our critical self. So when we get stuck in this, we can become very critical, and we can say some pretty mean things to ourselves. So, I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I can't do anything right, I'm ugly, I'm fat, whatever it is. Sometimes we can get really stuck saying these things to ourselves, and we don't even recognize we're saying them. One of the things that, oftentimes happens is maybe it's something that somebody else has said to you, and now you're saying it to yourself, right? Because when we're born, we don't really have those kinds of thoughts about ourselves. And it doesn't come out until maybe we've heard something, seen something, somebody said something to us, and then all of a sudden now we're saying those things to ourselves. And so it's really important to be able to recognize this, right? One of the ways that is really helpful for this critical self, or to, I guess, recognize it and maybe even stop it, that name it to tame it, is when you say something negative to yourself, you think about somebody that you really care about, somebody that you respect, somebody that you look up to, and you think, you know what, would I say that to them? Would I tell, my best friend that they're fat, or they're ugly, or nobody really likes them and nobody wants to be their friend? Would I say that to them? Or would I tell my mom, you know, you're an awful person, nobody wants to be around you? So when we think about it like that, and again, that's about perspective, when we put it into that perspective and think about it like that, would we say those things to people that we care about? Probably not, because it would hurt their feelings and they wouldn't feel very good about themselves. And that's kind of what it's like for us. When we do that to ourselves, it's like we're beating ourselves up all day. And at the end of the day, we wouldn't feel very good about ourselves. So it's kind of a little trick with critical self that you can do, is to kind of ask yourself, would I say that to somebody that I care about? If it's not nice enough to say to them, then maybe, maybe it's not a good idea to say it to myself either. Catastrophizing. So if anybody's familiar with SpongeBob, this is Pearl, and she is a character who catastrophizes. And catastrophizing is basically taking something small and blowing it up into something really big. A common example that people can relate to is, my mom was supposed to come and pick me up from school and she's late. What if she got into an accident? What if she got hurt? What if she's in the hospital, or worse? Like, what if she died? What would happen to me? Where would I go? Where would I live? Who would take care of me? What am I going to do without my mom? And then all of a sudden your mom pulls up and you're in this big panic and you're like, where were you? And she says, well, what was that? I got caught in traffic, or, I was caught up at the store. Like, I'm here now. What's the big deal? So catastrophizing is when we take something small and we blow it up into something big. My friend didn't text me back right away. Maybe they're mad at me. What did I do? Did I say something wrong the last time we talked? Maybe they don't like me anymore. Maybe they don't want to be my friend. And if they don't, then maybe I'm not going to have any friends. If I don't have any friends, well, maybe I can't go back to school or, whatever. And that story just kind of snowballs and gets bigger and bigger. And that's what we call catastrophizing. Expecting too much. So expecting too much, this character, Gaston from Beauty and the Beast, he's a character that expects a lot out of himself and a lot out of others around him. So this kind of thinking trap is when we get stuck feeling like we have to accomplish maybe these big goals that we set out for ourselves, but they're unrealistic. A common one that I hear is, it's a new school year, it's a new term. I'm going to, get all 90s this term, or I'm going to get great marks on all of my assignments. And it doesn't happen, right? Sometimes that goal is unrealistic. And people can get really disappointed with themselves. And so sometimes when we expect too much out of ourselves, it can come out like perfectionism, trying to be perfect at things, and being able to recognize that there really isn't any such thing as being perfect, right? And so expecting too much can really take its toll on, how, I guess, the stuff that we think that we can accomplish. And maybe sometimes we're not able to for a variety of different reasons. Prediction and mind reading. Mind reading is not thinking you can read people's minds. Mind reading is about thinking that you know what other people are thinking about you, right? So you walk by a group of people and they start laughing and you think, oh, they're laughing at me, they're probably talking about me. Or you're talking to somebody and you think, this person probably doesn't even really like me, or maybe they think what I'm talking about is boring. Maybe they don't even want to talk to me. And so you're kind of doing this thing where you're mind reading about what you think others are thinking about you. Prediction is when, kind of like the character here from Robin Hood, you're looking into this crystal ball, looking into the future and thinking, you know what? What if? What if I do this and this happens? Or what if I do this and this happens? What if? And you're kind of, projecting yourself into the future about things that you don't know whether they're going to happen or not, and you don't really have any control over. And so it can really, I guess, place a lot of fear in people sometimes and cause that feeling of anxiousness or being nervous. The next one, zooming in on the negative. So zooming in on the negative, this is Eeyore. If anybody's ever watched Winnie the Pooh, he's a sad little guy that kind of sometimes has a rain cloud hanging over top of him. He says, why bother? This is a little character who, really has a hard time noticing the positive. So when we get into this kind of thinking trap, it's like we put on a pair of glasses in the morning and they're gloomy glasses. And these glasses cause us to see things in a very negative way. Even if something positive were to happen, it would be hard for us to see, or we would see it and say, oh yeah, well, that was nice, but the day still sucks anyways. And so that's kind of what it's like to zoom in on the negative. Memories and past thinking. So when we get stuck in this kind of a thinking trap, we're taking a trip down memory lane and thinking about things that have happened in the past. And oftentimes, when we think about things from the past, it's more about thinking about things that maybe we didn't like happen. So it's like, I wish I hadn't have said that, or I wish I didn't do that, or I should have done this, or I shouldn't have done that, or why did that have to happen? And it can lead to some regret. And so That's what it's like when we sometimes take a trip down memory lane. We think about things that we often regret or feel guilty about, and that can bring on feelings of sadness. And that can be really upsetting. I've had, people share with me that, sometimes they get stuck thinking like this for a lot of their day. Or sometimes people will even say, like, I spend a lot of my time, if I were to break my day down into chunks, I spend the majority of my day thinking about things, either worrying about the future or thinking about the past. And, it can be quite challenging to get out of that, right? And that's when these thinking traps become an issue, is when we're stuck thinking in them for quite a period of time. And that's where this idea of ruminating comes from. So ruminating is a word for literally being stuck in your thoughts. So you kind of get stuck and your thoughts are going around and around. Some people have described it like a feeling like a tornado. It's like there's this tornado of thoughts and it's just kind of going around and around in my head. Some people think of it like a river. There's rumination river and it's just kind of flowing along and I'm just getting whipped away with all of these thoughts down this river. So when we get stuck in ruminating, like I said before, it can eat up a lot of our day and really impact how we are interacting with other people or even the things we do, right? If we're worried all the time about, somebody invited me to go somewhere. Well, I don't know if I should go or not because, what if something happens and I embarrass myself or, all these things. And then I think, well, I'm not going to bother going anyways. And so that's kind of how ruminating can affect us. So here are some techniques. I'm sure people have all kinds of things that they can use to try to help themselves get out of a thinking trap, to get out of ruminating. Identify the thinking trap, right? Name it to tame it. Sometimes we don't even recognize that we're even thinking in this way because it's just become so automatic. And by naming it, we kind of call it out and say, oh, there you are. I'm having a Pearl from SpongeBob moment, or I'm having a Neor moment right now, right? And that's okay. We all think like that. That's one of the important things about these thinking traps, is to recognize that we all think like that at times because we're human beings. That's just kind of how our brain works. It's if we get stuck in it, that's when it becomes a problem. Challenge the thought, look for evidence, pretend you're like a detective and you're trying to search for evidence to prove, is this thought right? Nobody likes me? Is that true? How can I prove that? Well, I can't, because there are people who like me, right? And so challenging the thought kind of gets us thinking about things in a more critical way. Do not label yourself or others. I'm dumb. I'm depressed. I'm anxious. I'm ugly. They're ugly. We want to be careful about not labeling ourselves or other people around us, because then sometimes we can get stuck being that's the only thing we see, right? And so labeling can be harmful sometimes. Practicing mindfulness, being aware of your thoughts, your feelings, your surroundings, your body. Practicing mindfulness is about being in the moment without judging it. So you're not judging it in any way. It's like, this is what's happening. This is where I am. It is what it is, right? And there is an exercise, it's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And that is a way to practice mindfulness. It's like, what are 5 things I can see? What are 4 things I can feel? What are 3 things I can hear? What are two things I can taste or I like the taste of? You know, what's one positive thing about myself? And that kind of helps us to draw our attention to our surroundings and kind of what's going on around us. You know, what do I feel? What am I thinking about? What's around me? You know, how do I feel in my body? I think that's probably a really big key part to this is, you know, what do I feel? Where do I feel this in my body? Or how does my body feel? Be curious. Why do you think and feel the way you do? Right? Sometimes people really try to maybe push down how they feel or try to distract themselves from what they're thinking about. And it's like, I don't want to think about this, so I'm not going to. I'm going to try to fill my time with all these activities and stuff so that I don't have to. Or I don't like the way I feel, so I'm just going to ignore it or stuff it down and try to pretend I don't feel that way. When you do that, though, it comes back. It comes back. And oftentimes when we're alone or at night when it's quiet and there's no more distraction because we're supposed to be sleeping, we're settling in for the night, and it's like, oh, now I'm thinking and feeling all these things that I try to ignore all day. So being curious about how you feel or what you're thinking or why you're thinking the way you are can be really helpful for people to, I guess, understand what they're going through, right? Instead of trying to ignore it or push it away. The big one, diffuse from your thoughts. Don't hold on to it. Ask yourself if this thought is moving you towards your goals. Is it helping you cope? One of the things that, you know, I often suggest to people is to say, is what I'm thinking about helping me in any way? Because if it's not, you know, then, you know, how helpful is this thought? I'm curious. Why am I thinking this way? And diffusing from your thoughts is about getting unstuck from them. So if you think about being fused is you're stuck. Defusing is kind of unsticking, right? How do I unstick myself from my thoughts? How do I unhook myself from my thoughts? When I think about diffusing from your thoughts, I think about a parade. Now, I'm sure, you know, we've all seen a parade, even if we haven't seen it in person, seen it on TV. We know what happens in a parade. There's often a marching band, there's some floats, there's people, you know, walking, maybe there's some banners, things like that. And there's this parade. We don't get off the sidewalk and climb onto the float and join the parade. We just stand back and watch it, and we watch it all pass by, and then it goes down the street and disappears. When we think about our thoughts like a parade, it's like, oh, there's a parade of thoughts, right? I'm standing on the sidewalk and I'm watching this parade go by, and it's all the things I think about. The trick is to not get off the sidewalk and get in the parade and join in. That's probably one of the best examples of diffusing from your thoughts that I've come across so far, is that this is your parade of thoughts. Don't get off the sidewalk and get in it. Just watch it go by. Be curious about why you're thinking the way you are and not get hooked to it. Don't get in the parade. Don't get off the sidewalk and get in your parade of thoughts. So that's some techniques that you can use. And now we're going to try to play this game Jeopardy, which it's kind of like this little game show here. No, that is not it. Oh, no, I can't. There we go. Okay. So, I don't know how many teams we pick. No teams? Maybe we'll go with no teams and we'll just play it. And we'll see. So, we have these categories here that we can pick from. So I'm just gonna pick and we'll see Let's see here. Okay. All right. It says since we only have one participant, we'll be unmuting. Are we going to unmute for the game?
I did, Melissa, change that setting, so
Okay.
Ken is able to unmute himself
If you would like to
Okay.
answer.
if he would like to answer. So no pressure, Ken.
No pressure.
But feel free to jump in if you have answers to the questions.
I feel
Mhm.
very pressured.
I encourage the pressure, Ken.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
So what should we pick first? How about we go with this one, the brain house. For 300, age brain stops developing. What age does your brain stop developing?
24.
Yeah. What is your
Never mind.
mid-20s?
Oh, is this how you answer it? I see.
Yep. What is the mid-20s? Perfect. Okay. Back to this one. Do you have any preference of what you'd like to pick?
Who's next?
Let's
That
see.
one.
This one?
Yes.
Let's see. Questioning why you feel and think the way you do. So we just kind of talked about this. Questioning. Why do I think and feel the way I do? What is that?
Is that the question?
Yeah. Questioning why you feel and think the way you do. What is that?
Cool.
What is your emotions? What?
Let's see.
Did you say, Cliff?
What is
being
being curious? Being curious, questioning why you feel and think the way you do. Okay. How about we try thinking traps for 200? If I don't do it this way, then I'm not doing it at all. Do you know what kind of thinking trap that would be? If I don't do it this way, then I'm not doing it at all.
Thinking.
Cliff says, what is black and white thinking?
Let's see. What is black and white thinking?
Yeah.
Okay. How about, can you guess? The name of drawing activity,
My monster.
yes.
Yeah.
There you go. What is my monster? Anybody got a pick? Ways to cope? 100? You have to name it too. Does anybody remember? You have to name it to what?
What is tame it?
Yes. What is tape? Okay.
She studied for this.
My friend didn't answer my text message. I wonder if they are mad at me. What if no one likes me anymore and I can never show my face at school again?
What is I forgot his name. It's that bald guy. The bald little kid. What is Caillou? Forgot his name.
That was Charlie Brown.
Yes, Charlie Brown.
That's, you know what? That could be critical self too.
Yeah.
Catastrophizing. That was Pearl from SpongeBob.
Oh, what?
Yeah. My friend didn't answer my text. Maybe they're
Oh.
mad at me. What if nobody likes me anymore? But you know what? It could be Charlie Brown too. Because yeah, that's kind of a little bit critical as well. Brain house for 100. Number of floors in the brain house.
What is 2?
Very good. Let's see. Brain house for 500. one way you can make your brain staircase stronger. This was right at the end of the video. So how can you make your brain case stronger? Anybody got a guess?
Oh gosh.
What is adults and being carpenters?
Isn't that one about
Carpets,
practicing?
Sport,
Yeah.
Oh, it's
Yep.
just an
deep
adults.
breathing. Yep. Trusted adults. Yes. Relaxing muscles.
Mess with your cat.
Let's see. We'll go with thinking traps. Looking into the future. What thinking trap is this?
What is fortune telling?
Fortune telling.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Fortune telling, prediction. Exactly. Okay. We'll keep in line with this one. Part of the house your thinking brain is in. Is it in the upstairs part of your brain or the downstairs?
Upstairs. What is upstairs?
Perfect. Okay, might as well finish this one off. Big Boss Bob reacts in 3 ways to danger. Do you remember how Big Boss Bob acts? In
What
3
is
ways?
flight, fight, freeze?
Perfect.
I'm acing it.
Ways to cope. Not holding on to your thoughts. Not holding on to them, just letting them go. Anybody want to take a guess? What is diffusion or unhooking, right? We don't want to hold on to them. We want to unhook from them. Thinking trap of remembering, recalling, or thinking back on something.
What is future and oh god. Oh wait, no. Why am I saying future? What is past? I forgot something about the past.
Yeah. What is
Yes.
memories and past thinking?
Yes, yes,
Awesome. Might as well finish off thinking traps. Talking negative to yourself.
yes.
You're negative to yourself, saying mean things to yourself. What was that one called?
What is negative self-talk?
Hmm. Critical.
Close enough. Never
Yeah,
mind.
critical self. And that was the Charlie Brown one.
Oh, okay. Kind of
Mhm.
you one.
Yeah, Caillou. Okay, ways to cope. Challenge the, geez, maybe that's ways to cope. If you're trying to cope with something, you could challenge the what?
Oh god.
What is thought?
Yes. What is thought? Okay, finish off ways to cope for 400. Practice of being aware of your thoughts, feelings, surroundings, and body. What is this practice called?
What is mindfulness?
Perfect. Okay, we got 4 more. Can you guess? The picture of the young woman or old woman is a type of picture that plays tricks on your vision. This is called
An illusion. What is an illusion?
optical illusion.
Optical illusion.
Yeah, awesome. We'll go up here. can't stop thinking about things. What's it called when you can't stop thinking about things?
What is overthinking?
Overthinking or rumination?
Oh, that word. Yeah, words.
Mhm. Yep, rumination. How many thinking traps are there?
Oh God.
How many?
What is 9?
Yes.
Oh God.
Nice.
Last
more.
one.
Winner takes it all.
The purpose of my monster drawing activity was to show people had different.
What is perspective?
Yes.
Oh, that's cool.
Awesome. All right. Well, there we go. That was our Jeopardy game to kind of recap the things that we talked about today. So that's awesome. Here, let me see on
When we were drawing the monsters, I had two of my roommates draw monsters with us too.
Oh, did you? That's cool. And
They wanted to show it off, but they're like, you can't turn on my camera.
did they look anything the same?
No, I don't
Can
know what
I-
they were doing.
I can make it so you can put your camera on if you just give me a second.
We want to see these
Because
monsters.
now we want to see them. Okay, you should be able to turn your.
But let me call him, okay? Let me call
Okay.
him.
Oh. Did we think? Yeah. Oh,
Yes.
am I froze? Are we frozen?
I don't know. Am I frozen?
No.
No.
Okay.
Ken, are you able to turn your camera on? Oh,
Oh, maybe something happened.
he might have frozen.
Hmm. Well, and
That's
that's
okay.
probably one of the neatest things about that exercise is when you kind of compare and you look at other people's monsters and you're like, what? Why would you draw it like that? Or, how that you interpret it that way. And I remember doing this activity with a daughter and a dad, and they drew this to kind of see how they each had a different perspective of things. And the daughter took the dad's picture to hang in her locker.
Right here, do you guys see this?
Oh, yeah.
And then we have one more as well. Let's just get
Okay.
this is minor.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
And there's one more, Alan. Here we go. Here's his.
Let's see. Oh, there you go. They're all
That's
very
their
different, eh? No, that's awesome. Okay, well, that's everything I have for today. So thanks for coming. And yeah, it was fun.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Appreciated it. It was really fun.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad. Take care.
I enjoyed the games. Thank you.
Mhm.